Hello and welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better blues players. My name's Mark, and in this lesson we're going to look at using the Mixolydian mode in our blues playing. So the way the lesson's going to work, same as always, you're going to see me play an example 12-bar blues solo where I'm going to use some Mixolydian licks in amongst the blues playing. Then what we'll do is we'll come back on the other side and I'll pull all those licks apart one by one, show you them, show you how to play them with tab on screen, and then what we'll do is we'll have a little chat about the Mixolydian mode and how to use it in blues playing. Okay, so on with the example. So that was the example there, and what we'll do now is I'll pull those licks apart one by one, show you how to play them, and then we'll have a chat about how you use the Mixolydian mode in blues playing. But before we do, a couple of little points of housekeeping. First of all, there is tab available for this lesson, so if you'd like a copy of the tab, send me an email, and next time I'm online I'll simply hit reply and attach the tab file to it and you get that back. It's completely free of charge, you're not signing up for anything. But that's available. If you want my email address, check the description below. Secondly, the backing track that you heard me play over, that's available as a separate track on YouTube. Again, if you want to jam over it yourself, have a look in the description below. And finally, if you find these lessons useful, please hit subscribe. I've got new blues and blues rock style lessons coming out every couple of weeks. So if you're enjoying this, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and share it on Facebook and other things as well. I'd really appreciate that. Okay, finally, after all that, let's get on with the lesson. Okay, so the solo starts and it begins with lick 1. Lick 1, like many of my solos, starts on the preceding bar. You'll hear the count 1, 2, 3, and then it comes in after the count, and the lick goes like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now I'll do it nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I'll just very slowly go through the notes, sliding in here. So that was lick 1, that was over the first 2 bars, which are a C7, then we're into lick 2. Lick 2 is also over a C7 and it goes like this. Okay, and nice and slow. Okay, so it starts with this little triplet figure doing this. Okay, and what I'm doing there is simply anchoring on the B string, where are we, 8th fret, hammering onto 10, and then hitting 8th fret on the top E string. So you get this. And what I'm doing to get between them is I'm actually just rocking my index finger so that I'm getting the B string and then the top E string. Okay, and I basically do that little pattern 3 times. So if you're counting it, it's 1 Anna, 2 Anna, 3 Anna. Okay? That's the first half of the lick. The second half of the lick then goes like this. Nothing tricky here. Little dirty bend up on the first note. But watch out then, because we've got this hammer on from, what's that, from from 8 to 9 on the G string. Hammer on 8 to 9 on the G string is what I meant to say. We hold that for a while and shake it before then finally hitting 10 on the D string. Okay, so I'll do the whole lick nice and slow. Here we go. And that last little note is just cut off because that's like a stepping stone to get us to the next lick. So then we're into lick 3. Lick 3, the chord progression is now moved to a F7 chord. So we're going to change and we're going to address the F7 chord. Okay, so those first 2 licks, licks 1 and 2, they were using C Mixolydian. But we can't use C Mixolydian over the F7 chord. I'll explain why in a moment. But instead we're going to use the C Dorian scale, which is the scale that we looked at in the last lesson. So lick 3 now up to speed goes like this. Okay, and nice and slow. Okay, it's hard to play it slow because you want to get some feel into it, but I'll play it once again up to speed. But I'll play it once again up to speed. Okay, and as I say, this is outlining a C Dorian scale, which it works really well for an F7 because you can think of like an F chord here, that's an F9, or an F7 there maybe. What we're actually doing is outlining the notes in that chord. So if you think of that F7 chord there, or that F chord, you can kind of quite easily see the notes in there. Okay, that was lick 3. Lick 4 now is back over a C7, so we're back to C Mixolydian, and that goes like this. Okay, and nice and slow. Okay, that was lick, what was that? That was lick 4, that's back over the C7 chord. Now we're on to lick 5, second to last lick, and it's over the G7 chord. Well, it's actually over 2 bars. It's over the G7 to F7, and it goes like this. Okay, nice and slow. Okay, the only thing really to watch out with this is there's dirty bends on the 11th fret of the B string. So you get one right at the start, and then every time I hit that 11, I'm kind of giving it some amount of dirty bend, and it's probably a slightly different amount of dirty bend every time. Okay, so that was the lick 5 from the G7 to the F7. That's using just regular C minor pentatonic. That's where I was thinking over that lick. And then we're into lick 6. And lick 6 is now where the chord progression is doing a turnaround. So we're going from a C7 to a G7, which is going to tell our ear, okay, we're going to start all over again. So the 2 bars is C7 to G7. And that will go like this. Okay, and nice and slow. Okay, that was a little bit too slow. Lost any sort of feel in that, but I'll do it moderately slow. Okay, so that was lick 6. The first half of that is it's got a little bit of Mixolydian about it. The second half, then, when it's over the G7 chord, there's no Mixolydian about it. Okay, so those are all the licks. As I say, if you want to learn them yourself, you want to have a copy of the tab, just drop me an email and I'll send it back to you. Okay, so this lesson is talking about Mixolydian scale, the Mixolydian mode. So this is building on a couple of lessons that I've been teaching up to this point. We had a basic introduction to music theory video, then we had a modes made easy, look at teaching where the theory of the modes come from, what they are, Each of those lessons, I think, were only about 10 or 12 minutes each. But that gives you then the grounding so that we can start looking at how to use modes in blues playing. The last lesson, we were looking at how to use the Dorian mode in blues and why that's so great, and why players like B.B. King and Robin Ford and Eric Clapton and stuff tend to gravitate towards that particular type of sound, the Dorian sound. Mixolydian is slightly different. So first of all, what is the Mixolydian scale? Well, it's the major scale but with a flattened seventh. So it contains all the notes of major except the seventh one is flattened, which is why it's so great for playing over a dominant 7 chord. So here's a C7. So a major scale would include a B natural there. So it would be okay, that's a C major scale, but that doesn't fit a C7 chord because that note doesn't sit very well with this chord. Got this note. So if we play our major scale and flatten the seventh by a degree, so you get a flat 7, then you get this sound. Which fits so much better over a C7 chord. Okay, now, as I said in the Dorian lesson, I don't learn modes as just a complete scale in its own thing without anything. I like to hang it off something I already know. And that's exactly what I've done with this lesson as well. So firstly, let's talk, before I talk about how I remember the notes of the Mixolydian very easily, let's talk about where you use Mixolydian in 12-bar blues. So if you've been following my lessons for a while, you'd have seen me often talk about using major and minor together over a 12-bar blues. Well, a Mixolydian scale is a major scale. It's a form of major scale, as we just said, but with a flattened seventh. So therefore, we use a Mixolydian scale whenever we want a major sound. Now, as I say, if you've seen my lessons before about mixing major and minor, you would know that we've talked about the fact that over the one chord, which in this case is the C chord, so if I'll put on screen the 12 bars of a 12-bar blues in C. And basically, over the C7 chords, we can use either a major scale or a minor scale. So a major sound or a minor sound. So a Mixolydian sound or a minor pentatonic sound or a Dorian sound or any of those things. So we can use those Mixolydian scale over those C7 chords. But we can't use them over the F7 or G7 chord because they're really going to clash and not work. And again, if you want to know the details of that, see some of my previous videos. So what happens is, in this example solo, when I go to the F7 chord or the G7 chord, I'm going for either Dorian or minor pentatonic. And as we said in the previous lesson, we can think of Dorian as actually just minor pentatonic with a couple of extra nice notes thrown in. And that's exactly how I was thinking of it. Okay, so I only use the Mixolydian mode over the C7 chords. We don't use it over the F7 or G7 chords. That's really important because it will clash over those chords. So the way I think about Mixolydian, I think about it in 2 different ways. There's 2 different ways I can come at it and think about it. The first one is that I think it's a major mode. So therefore, I'll take major pentatonic and add in the flat 7th note. Okay, so major pentatonic for C would be here. Okay, but we can also add in the flat 7, which will be here. Okay, I must admit, I tend to use this box position here instead. So that major pentatonic, and then we can add in the flat 7th note here. Okay, so there's those flat seventh notes around. And if we think of lick 1, that's essentially exactly what I'm doing. I'm starting here in this box position. Okay, and then I'm throwing in this note here. So I think it went something like this. So I'm thinking this major pentatonic little run, and then adding this note here. Okay, so that's one way I definitely think about it. I think about taking major pentatonic, which I must admit, if you've seen my videos before, you know major pentatonic, minor pentatonic are interchangeable. So C major pentatonic, A minor pentatonic. I'm seeing A minor pentatonic notes there, and then just adding in this B flat here. Think about lick 2, exactly again, a really kind of common major pentatonic little run. And then hitting that flat 7 note. Okay, so lick 1 and lick 2 use that idea of saying it's minor pentatonic, or sorry, it's major pentatonic, but then we're going to throw in this flat 7th. Okay, but some of the other licks as well, I think about it in a slightly different way. I see C minor pentatonic here. But displace the minor third, which is going to be here on the G string, and sharpen that to become a natural third. And so you're seeing in some of the licks there was this move. In fact, the end of lick 2 you get this move. And that hammer on, taking the minor third and bringing it up to a major third, is something that's, you know, gives that Mixolydian sound. Also, which one was it? I think it was lick 4. We had this going on. Okay, so I was again thinking the minor pentatonic, but instead of hitting this note here, which would be minor pentatonic, I'm taking this one here and bending it up a whole tone. Okay, so I see Mixolydian in one of two ways, depending on how I'm feeling at the time. I'm either seeing it as major pentatonic with a flattened second thrown in, or I'm thinking it as minor pentatonic with a major third instead of a minor third, or often moving from the minor third into the major third. And the essence of the Mixolydian mode is it includes a major third and a flat 7th. And it's the only mode that includes those two notes. So as long as you're hitting those two notes in your lick, then it's going to give that kind of Mixolydian sound. Okay, so as I say, lick 1, I was definitely thinking major pentatonic with a flat 7th. Lick 2, definitely starting thinking major pentatonic, but then ended it by thinking of this kind of minor pentatonic with the natural third thrown in. Lick 3, I was thinking Dorian mode for C, because that's going to work really well over an F7 chord. Lick 4, again, I was thinking major pentatonic with a flat 7. And then lick 5, when we get over the G7 chord, I'm thinking just regular C minor pentatonic. And then lick 6 is very much thinking the idea of C minor pentatonic, but with that natural third thrown in. Okay, so I'll put diagrams on screen to show you the kind of the notes where they are on the fretboard. There's tab as well. If you want a copy of the tab, send me an email. It'll have the tab plus the scale diagrams in there. If you've enjoyed these lessons, if you find these useful and valuable, if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or buy me a beer, then there is a PayPal tip jar where you can leave a tip there. If you want to sign up for more lessons and things, then you can go and check out the Patreon supporters, where for a monthly subscription you get access to all this information, plus all the backing tracks and everything else. Plus I do some additional videos each month as well. So if you find this useful, please go and check those things out. Take care, and until next time, I'll see you again.